Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about HMI lights. HMIs have been around for quite some time and are really, really cool. Not very versatile, but they are really the powerhouse of Hollywood lighting. LEDs are starting to take over, but it is still really important to know about HMIs, how to set up an HMI, and they are definitely the most complicated light to set up, or type of light to set up, between LEDs, tungstens, and then also HMIs. So I was going to walk through today with an Sun 12, which is one of the simpler ones. I am by no means an expert on this kind of stuff, and a lot of the bigger HMIs I don't really have experience with, but something small like this I do, and a lot of the same principles carry over into the bigger fixtures and bigger heads. So, here we go. So first of all, I've got the Sun 12 head on this high roller right here. The high roller is actually really cool. I'm going to be doing a video on that as well. I got all of this from PC&E in Atlanta. The high roller goes up to 20 feet, but right now I've got it at its lowest setting, which is like 7 feet-ish. So the head has a junior pin and is going into the junior receiver on the high roller. So basically any HMI that you have is going to be a junior pin. So if you don't have a stand that takes junior pin lights, doesn't have a junior receiver on it, don't buy an HMI. I made that mistake and I had to buy the high roller, which I'm glad to have. But yeah, just make sure you buy it together if you get an HMI and you don't have something like that, because a C stand or a EV Baby or something is just not going to cut it. So yeah, you can see the HMI. It's got barn doors on it. This system comes with lenses that you can put on to kind of get it spotted and flood a little bit more. Even though it does have a onboard spot and flood feature, it does also come with lenses as well as a scrim bag. So that scrim bag and the lens box do make this a pretty big, hefty system to be carrying around. On top of that, you also have the ballast that's going to come with it. So this is for the 1200, so it's a relatively small ballast. It's a 575 to 1200 ballast, as well as the header cable, which is pretty nice sized as well. So when you have the system all out, what you're going to want to do first is just obviously check the light before you put it on the stand. Just make sure that it's not broken, obviously broken, before you put it on the stand, because if it is, then you wasted your energy putting it on the stand. But if it's not, then go ahead and put it on, lock it down, make sure that it is locked and on there, because especially on something like a high roller or a Mambo, you're taking it up pretty darn high. Or especially if you're like underslinging it or something and rigging it up somewhere, then that has the possibility of coming loose. So you really want to always make sure that you tighten it down. You're also going to, before you send it up, make sure that you open your barn doors and angle this light where you want it, as well as spot and flood it as you want, because that can be an issue if you send it up and then you realize that it's too spotty, or that your barn door is halfway closed and you're not actually hitting entirely what you want to be hitting. Then you got to take it all the way back down, and that's never fun. Especially with the bigger lights, the ones that you'd put up on like a crank stand or something bigger like a condor or something. It just becomes a bigger pain to make sure to bring the lights down and then adjust them, whatever you have to do. So it's always a good thing to just make sure that it's all positioned the way that you want it. Now, I mentioned spotting and flooding. There's a little knob right here that you can kind of slide back and forth, and it'll essentially spot and flood your light, and it essentially just moves your bulb further and closer to the reflector and basically just zooms in what your light is focused on, or pulls it out and kind of gives you a larger flood. Once your light is all the way up, you're going to take the header cable that's going to go on next and put it on the light, plug it in. Right here you can see we have a pin here. We also have on the ballast, you'll see is a receiver for that header cable as well. Something important to note is you always want the pin side of your cables to be headed towards the power. It's pin to power is what they always say. And it's not as very relevant with header cables because usually it's pretty obvious, but you always want the pin side or the male side to be essentially facing towards where your power system is, or where your power is coming from, so your generator or your house power, whatever it is. Again, with header cables, it's pretty easy. Usually you only have one header cable, so it's kind of just like, just plug it in. It's got this little red dot here, which is super helpful in lining up red dot to red dot on that header cable. Essentially you're just going to line it up and then twist this twist lock right here, and you're going to twist it on. You don't want to force it on. It should just literally twist and lock itself, and you'll hear a click, and you'll know that you've done it correctly. Something else that I forgot to mention in the main recording, but you also want to make sure that you create strain relief for your header cable. So you're going to tie that off. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like. Essentially what you're going to do is just take the sash that should already be connected to your header cable, and you're going to take it and you're going to tie it off somewhere that it is going to be able to essentially take the strain off of this connection point here on the header cable, or where the header cable is connected to the light itself. So you're going to tie basically just a single knot, like you're tying your shoe, and then pull one end through, and that's called a quick release knot. I think it's just the way that I've always known it. And essentially you can very easily pull it off at the end of the day, but if any strain were to be caused on the header cable, like if I were to accidentally trip over it and kind of put some force on it, that the force is directed at this sash connection point, not the connection point between the header cable and the light. So essentially the pins are not getting damaged in that process. Okay, so now the header cable is connected to the ballast. We're going to want to make sure that we've connected our power to whatever we're getting our power from. So if it's house power or generator, so this 1200 can run off of house power. It doesn't pull very many amps, so you can run it off of a 15 or 20 amp circuit, so very easy there. A lot of the bigger HMIs, pretty much from a M18 all the way up to, Area Max, 18Ks essentially, you're going to need bigger and bigger types of power, and I don't know enough about that, and I don't have that here to demonstrate, so I will not be demonstrating that. But if you are interested, I can see if I can one day make a video when I have access and time to do that. But for something like this, it would be a very easy, just go and plug the ballast in to an outlet and you're good to go. What you want to make sure is that all of your power is off. So this little switch right here, you're going to want to make sure that that is flipped down. That essentially is not allowing any power to even get into the ballast. So you want to make sure that when you plug it in, you plug it in with that switch off. And then when you are done with that, then you can switch it on. Once it's all plugged in, you'll switch that on first. And give it a second to turn on. Really just a second is fine. And then you're going to press that little red button that says on or off, because you want to turn it on. And then you're going to give it a second and it'll fire up and you'll be all happy. It'll be great. But now, with HMIs, it does take a hot minute to warm up. It takes probably 30 seconds to a minute for this thing to warm up. And it can kind of differ based on what type of light you have. There is a dimmer on it. If you are interested, it doesn't really do a whole ton. And really, the whole thing doesn't really do a lot, so it's not really worth messing with. There is also a switch on the actual head itself, to my knowledge, and correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but that switch can just stay on. It doesn't really matter as much. You can switch it off if you want, but to my knowledge, that is not necessary. Now with the HMIs, they are daylight balanced, so you want to make sure that if you want any type of color, you've brought the gel to match that. But typically with HMIs, it's okay that you keep it daylight balanced. Usually now with HMIs, you're only going to be using them with daylight, and then anything else that you would need color for, you would just go ahead and grab an LED for. Again, with the raising and lowering on this stand, you really want to make sure that you're being very, very careful, especially with HMIs. They are very heavy. They're some of the heaviest, if not the heaviest, lights that you'll come across. So they're pretty big. You want to make sure that you have some good gloves, some hot hands, or just some regular gloves will work. Anything that you will not get your fingers pinched on. You want to make sure that you're just being very careful. A lot of the bigger ones, it can take, 2 people even to raise and lower certain larger fixtures. Last year we had an M40 4K on a Mambo, which is, I believe, 22 feet is the max height for that. And it took 2 of us to get it on that last riser. It was getting pretty heavy because essentially the head, the entire stand, and the header cable is all working against you to get that up. So it did take us 2 of us to get that thing up there and in the sky. And at that point, might as well have gotten a lift, but didn't have budget, so that's okay. Kind of a given, but also you want to make sure that you have sandbags. The higher you go, the more you want to think about putting 2 or 3 bags on. Make sure that your stand is also locked off. Again, these are kind of givens, but you want to make sure that you're doing that. Anyway, if you have any other questions or want me to do reviews on any other pieces of gear, let me know. Or if you have certain pieces of gear that you would be willing to lend for me to do reviews and tutorials on, let me know, because I really only do stuff with my own personal gear, and so I'm always happy to take your gear for an afternoon and do a little tutorial on it. So yeah, let me know, and I will catch you guys in the next video.